My name is Tammy Welty, and I'm with Bradford and Barthel. I have asked Zane Uribarri to join me to answer a few of the most commonly asked COVID claim-related questions. Zane is a partner out of our Ontario location. He has dedicated the last 10 years to workers' compensation defense. He has also helped found our COVID task force, and he's currently handling a couple of dozen COVID claims. And now you can see why I have asked him to join us today. Hello, Zane. How you doing?
Hi, Tammy. Doing well.
Are you ready to answer a few questions?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Question number one. How do I know which presumption applies in a particular case?
That is a good question because the distinction between the presumptions is very important. The presumptions are divided up into several different categories, usually based upon the date of injury and sometimes based upon the type of work that an employee does. For dates of injury from March 19th, 2020 through July 5th, 2020, there is one presumption that requires a positive test within 14 days. For those claims, you have a 30-day decision time frame from the time the claim form is turned in. For dates of injury from July 6th, 2020 and going forward, there is a different presumption where you have to have a positive test within 14 days, and there also has to be an outbreak at the specific place of employment where the employee was working. For those claims, you have a 45-day decision time frame. And finally, claims for many first responders, such as firefighters and some healthcare workers, are governed by a different presumption where you just have to have the positive test within 14 days without including an outbreak. And for those, you also have a 30-day decision time frame.
Great, thank you. Okay, question number two. Does it matter if an employee was exposed at work for that positive test to count toward an outbreak in the workplace?
The short answer on that one is no. An outbreak just looks at the number of employees that were at a workplace that have COVID-19. And it does not look at where those individuals contracted COVID-19. How an individual contracted COVID-19 is important when the employers investigate how a positive case occurred and how they determine whether or not their remedial measures at work are being effective, whether or not their cleaning practices are sufficient, and whether or not their protective policies need to be updated. Asking questions about the source of exposure is important, as the employer needs to determine how an employee became infected with COVID-19. If the exposure was due to non-industrial causes or non-industrial sources, then the employer would know that the work-related policies and procedures are effective and don't have to be updated in any way.
Great, thank you. And the last question, is the employer required to pay for testing for employees if there is a Cal OSHA outbreak?
Under the new Cal OSHA regulations 3205, the employer is required to provide testing to employees at no cost when there has been a COVID case in the workplace. The testing must be offered during work hours, and there is nothing that prevents an employee from going and getting tested on their own if they want. The employer does not have to provide on-site testing, but must make testing available during work hours at no cost to the employee. Remember that testing must be offered when there has been an exposure, which is just one case. Weekly testing is required if there has been an outbreak of 3 or more persons at a place of employment. An employer cannot require that an employee take a test, but it must at least be offered. And finally, an employer cannot require a negative COVID-19 test for an employee to return to work.
Got it. Okay. I know those are all commonly asked questions, but I know we get that question a lot about the requirement to for a negative COVID test to return to work. So that in particular is really great to have clarified. So I appreciate that. And that's all for our questions for Zane today. Do visit our website. We have invaluable information provided, including a COVID resource page, which I highly recommend that you check out, a B&B blog, which we post blog articles regularly, typically a couple of blog articles a week. We've posted a lot of blog articles on the COVID topic and OSHA regs, so do check those out. We also have some Q&As posted on our blog that are really helpful. They're a little more detailed than our Q&A today. We also have webinars on our website, upcoming webinars you can register for, and previously recorded webinars that you can watch. You can check out our B&B rating department and so much more. So do check out our website. That's at bradfordbarthel.com. Thank you so much for joining us today, Zane, and thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.